Now that we have finished the installation of the crankshaft, the next procedure or step is to install the pistons. So let us go to our table and let us see the pistons. Okay, here are 4 pistons, and I have disassembled one piston assembly with its connecting rod so that you can see how to assemble those parts. So here is a disassembled piston assembly. This is the piston. This is our piston pin which connects the connecting rod to our piston. So by means of the piston pin, the connecting rod is attached to our piston. And the piston rings, here are the piston rings which is placed on our piston ring grooves. So as you can see, we have grooves there. We have 3 grooves. Those are for our piston rings. And these locks are for the locks of the piston pin, so that it will not go out as the engine moves. Rather, the piston moves inside the cylinder. And we also have our bearings, connecting rod bearings. These bearings are placed because it supports the connecting rod, and instead of replacing the connecting rod when it's damaged, the bearings are just only replaced. So you will be, the price is lower than replacing the connecting rod rather than the bearings. So what's the other things? The other things are, we have kinds of piston rings, we have compression rings, and we have an oil control ring. So we have 2 compression rings. We have top compression and second compression ring, and we have the oil rings, which is a set. We have the expander, and we have the oil control ring. So oil control rings scrape off excessive oil in the cylinder so that it will not get burned, or much amount of oil must not be burned in the engine. So it must be scraped off and then put it back to our oil pan. So no excessive oil will be burned inside our engine. And here are the remaining piston assembly. We will just assemble one piston with one connecting rod, so that will not consume much of our time. And the tools that we will need are the following. We have the snap ring plier, then we have the piston ring expander, then we have our piston ring compressor, we have our torque wrench, and we have our socket extension, and we have the socket wrench, and we have a pry bar for testing the engine. We will test it by we will use this pry bar to turn the crankshaft so that we will know if there are any resistance in our installation of our piston. And we will also need our lubricating oil or engine oil for lubricating our bearings and the crankshaft, as well as the piston pins, and our piston rings should be lubricated when we install them inside the engine. Alright, so we will install the piston rings first in the piston ring groove, okay, or grooves. So 1, 2, 3. This is for the top compression ring, second compression ring, and the oil control ring must be inserted here. So first, we're going to put the oil control ring expander. Alright, so put this in the hole, and then compress a little bit in such a way that the ends touch each other. So they are now touching each other. So let's put the oil control ring on our tool, which is called the piston ring expander. Okay, so we'll expand it and place it on the third groove. So here. So let's try to inspect. Alright, carefully. So turn the piston ring. So it's good, no resistance at all. So let's proceed to the next one, which is our second compression ring. So safety reminder, you should always look for the top. There's a mark which tells us that this is at the top. So this is the top of the piston ring, piston. So the top must be on that side. Okay, let's use again. Let us use this tool again. So let it sit down and expand it and insert your compression ring. Okay, let's make sure that this fits well. Okay, so slowly putting it inside our piston. Okay, let us expand it. Right. Let us see if it's now inside. Okay, so it's inside now. Again, we will turn it if it's good. Alright, and the last one will be our top compression ring. So again, safety, there is a mark which tells us that this is top. I think we cannot see it because it's somewhat, our camera is not good enough to see. But if you will try to focus this, you can see that there is a top mark. So we will just insert this again and put it on the groove. Okay, so we have now a complete set of our piston assembly. Now let us proceed to joining or attaching the connecting rod to our piston. Okay, so another safety, you should know the direction of the piston and the connecting rod. So knowing it, in the manual it says that here is our mark. Okay, as you can see, our piston is not the same here. So there is a notch at this side, and this long side of the connecting rod must match to our notch. So it's like this. So here it is. Okay, and then we will just insert our piston pin, and we need some oil so that it will slide well to our piston pin boss and connecting rod bushing. So first we will put some oil here in our connecting rod bushing, small end, and then coat it with oil, and also our piston pin boss, right? And then I will put this here first, and then we will coat this piston pin boss with our oil, and also our piston pin. Let us coat this with oil so that when we insert it, it will just be easy for us to slide the piston pin to go through or past to our connecting rod. Okay, so we'll insert it first here. Okay, so that you can see, I will just tilt the piston. Okay, so it's very easy for our piston pin to go inside because of that oil. See, so by using my hand only, I can push the piston pin inside the connecting rod. Right? So let us now plug it with our snap ring plier. So we'll just wipe out my hand with a rag. Okay, so here it is. So we will use our snap ring plier to contract our lock ring. So we will now insert it here. There is also a groove which this part sits down. Alright. Alright. So that's it. So you heard that sound. So it was, or it was fitted down inside that groove. So another lock here. Alright. Okay, so it's now secured. Then let us try to check. Let us check this. Okay. And then this one. Let's try to move it so that we can see it's okay. It's good. Okay, now that we have assembled our piston, let us insert our connecting rod bearings in our connecting rod. Right, let's move our camera. So, safety reminder, we don't have to put some oil here. Right, so let us just insert our connecting rod bearing. Okay, let us push it and put it to its level here. Okay. Okay, let us put some oil to our bearing so that it will be protected to direct metal contact with the crankshaft. Okay, let us set this aside and we get our connecting rod cap, and let us insert the bearing also. So again, do not put oil on the back side of our bearing or the saddle of the connecting rod cap. So let us insert this bearing. There is a locking tang, so it's your guide, and then push it until its level reaches the level of this connecting rod cap. And let us put some oil. Alright? So it's very easy. It will just take a lot of practice to do these things in the engine. Okay, so we are now finished with assembling our piston with connecting rod. So we will install them later on in our engine. First, we are going to tilt the engine. Alright, we are now here with our engine, and let's tilt this engine. Not tilt, but we'll put it 90 degrees. We will put it at 90 degrees so that we can easily install our piston. So it is this way. Right? Can you see it? Let us move our camera. Okay, so it's just like standing up. Alright, so that's how we are going to put our piston. So we will go to the other side because that is where the piston will be placed. So I will let you see rather where the piston will go. Okay, so that is our cylinder. Those are the cylinders. So we have 4 cylinders, we have 4 pistons. Before that, we are going to lubricate the cylinders with our engine oil. Alright, let us coat this with oil. Cylinders. Okay, so that the insertion of our piston will be easy. And of course that's our anticipation that before starting our engine, it has already its lubrication. Okay, let us insert our pistons. First, we have to use the pry bar for turning our crankshaft. Okay, so here I have inserted 2 bolts at the rear of the crankshaft so that we can turn it, and place we'll turn it and place the number 1. Okay, so we will put this connecting rod here so that we can tighten the connecting rod bolts easily. Okay, let's turn the crankshaft. So number 1 and number 4 are partners. That's number 1. This is our front. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when I turn the crankshaft, okay, let's just turn it. So in this way, all right. See that number 4. I'll adjust it so that it will be centered. So this is number 4 and number 1. So they are the same. So they are at the same position. Okay. So what is that position? That is called BDC. It's in the bottom because this is the bottom part of the engine. When you look at this, somewhat like this. So that's the bottom part. That is the top part where the cylinders are located. Alright? So we are at the bottom dead center. So let us now proceed to installing our piston. First, we will install piston number 1. So here it is. Alright. This is our number 1. Alright, let's proceed to number 1. So we put some oil in our piston ring. Okay, and lubricate it. Now, safety for piston rings is that you should not align these gaps. So we have a piston ring gap, so we will not align this when we put them in the cylinder. So one is located here, so 120 degrees. We have another gap here, and the other gap for our oil ring. So they are not aligned. They should never be aligned. So 120 degrees apart. Right? So let us insert that. So the front side is there. So the piston has an arrow here, which you cannot see anymore. Okay, so we'll insert it here and make sure that the piston rings or piston ring gap angle is okay. Right. So by using our piston ring compressor, let us insert this and compress these piston rings so that they could enter our cylinder. So compressing it slowly. Alright. And let us make sure that this is center. And using our hammer, we'll push the piston inside. So by tapping the piston, so okay, slowly. Alright. So it's inside now. And let us clean this. Alright. And we'll push the piston towards the bottom dead center. Right? And then we will let the connecting rod sit down on our connecting rod shoulder. Okay, I will pull here. And let us push it there. Alright. Okay. So it's now here. Wait, it's on our opposite side. Okay, so we are here on the other side so that we can now cap our connecting rod with the connecting rod cap. So we'll insert this now and look at the locking tongue. So do not forget to always look at these marks. So we will match it and put on the connecting rod cap and its bolts. Okay. So when the threads now inside its hole, then we can tighten it slowly. Alright, so you can see. So this is also important that we see this mark. So this indicates the front side of our engine. Okay, so we will initially tighten this. Alright. And we will use our torque wrench to have our specific torque of the bolt. So this is the specific measurement of the torque of our bolt. So first we will use 30 Newton meter to tighten our connecting rod bolts. Right, that's 30. Then we will have 60. That is what our manual says about the specific torque of our connecting rod bolt. So this is 60. I will just adjust it. 40. Then 50. And 60. Alright. So a little bit more. Right, so this is 60. Alright, that's 60. That's 60. And the last one is, we have 80. So a little bit farther. All right. Okay, let us tighten it to our final. So this is our final torque, which is 80. Okay, so this is good. Let us first check if there is a resistance. I will try to move it or turn the crankshaft. Right. Okay. Alright. It's good. So let us proceed to number 4. Let us put this to the center. Alright. Let us proceed to number 4. So 2 and 3. now that we have inserted 4 pistons, let us check if there is a good rotation of our crankshaft along with these pistons. Okay, let us check. So alright. Okay, so no resistance at all. There is somewhat because they are fitted well, but this is good resistance. So it's smooth. See? Alright. So this is how you check your assembly. Okay. So we are finished in our piston assembly installation.